Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Caixinha names his injury-ravaged side for tomorrow's game with Kilmarnock and confirms Lee Wallace is out for a month. Patrick Roberts refuses to rule out a Celtic return, and Cathro defends his signing policy at Hearts. Yeah, just a few of the talking points Alan Rough and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing tonight on the programme. Lots of games in midweek to discuss in the Premiership too. Let's first of all look at the morning papers and the back page headlines that we can get our teeth into. First of all, Ruffy, there's Brendan United, the Celtic manager, talking about bringing Rangers and Celtic fans closer together. And the Sun, again, references that. Kenny Miller, obviously talking about possibly his time is up at Rangers, and the FA are set to give Davy Moyes a slap for his comment about a female reporter. And I think there you can have it, a quick look at the Daily Mail as well, just confirming that David Moyes situation. Okay, which I think, Ruffy, to be perfectly honest with you, has got way out of hand.
Yeah, it certainly has. I think Davy's obviously identified in this day and age that it's probably something you shouldn't say, but he's rectified it. He's actually phoned the girl himself, and she's quite happy with it, you know. And I heard the interview myself. It was very light-hearted. I think everybody was laughing in the background, including the girl. So all credit to her, you know, that she has taken it in the context that it was given.
Yep. Well, I know Davy, and he's not one of those guys who would say something to offend, but sometimes if you say a word out of you know, the norm, people are all over it like a rash, and that seems to be the case with David Moyes. I'm sure he will live to fight another day with that, with a rap in the knuckles from the FA. Let's switch our attention to a man who's wondering about his future at Rangers. He's had 3 stints there. I'm talking, of course, about Kenny Miller.
It was a dream come true to go to a club like Rangers. Again, being a fan, you go to that stadium and you walk into Ibrox that first time, and then you walk into the dressing room, because we obviously changed the dressing room back then as well. You walk into that. I've watched the Super Ali videos where they change in the corner. I'm there in that dressing room, surrounded by all these stars. It was daunting. I'll just look to carry on again next year, hopefully prove my worth to the team if I can do that. I guess I feel great. I do really. I know everybody kind of gets to this stage of their career says it, but I feel great. As long as I'm contributing on a Saturday, then I'm hopefully I'll be having another 2, 3, 4 years left.
He's a fit boy. We're big fans of him on the programme. Is he worthy of a new deal?
I think we all think he's worthy of a new deal in light of the season that he's had this year. I think the fans would agree with that as well, but obviously the manager at this moment in time seems to have other ideas. I think he's looking to the future. Obviously Kenny, if he was to get another contract, it probably maybe for a year. You know, maybe the manager's looking at more long term. Obviously if he released Kenny from his wages, he might be able to bring that person in. We'll have to wait and see, but with the amount that Kenny's contributed this season, I would have thought it would at least another year. With the other players that's been brought in, he's been head and shoulders of most of them.
Yeah, well, I think the manager's going to reveal to the players in a one-to-one situation what the future holds for them as far as the squad's concerned over the summer. What about the Rangers fans think about it? Well, I'm delighted to say we were able to catch up with one. Robert Armstrong was one man who joined me earlier on the programme, and asked him, first of all, would you give Kenny Miller that deal?
I think, first of all, Pedro Caixinha's been in the job for a matter of days and weeks, I think 3 weeks in total. I'd be concerned if he was wanting to hand out contracts immediately. I think that he's got to assess the squad, assess what budget he's going to have in the summer, and try and line that in correctly. I think Kenny's been obviously a legend at the club. I think his influence off the park's been essential for the club this season, especially through the harder times. I would like to think there's a role there for Kenny. Whether that is in a playing capacity next season, I'm not 100% sure, but I think right now Pedro Caixinha probably needs at least another month to really get through that squad and see whether he can be offering contracts to any players that are out of contract, whether he wants to tie down players on a longer term contract, and also look at what targets he wants to bring in the summer.
Yeah, and with that in mind, what would you like to see the new manager do in the summer?
I think Saturday's game was a big indication of the lack of quality, the lack of personalities that we have in the squad. I think Mark Warburton's recruitment drive in the summer was a disaster. Looking at, I think it was 13 players in full came last summer. On Saturday, only one started, so we're essentially playing with a squad that was assembled in the Championship this season. I think we need to have a recruitment drive, but I would like to see more quality than quantity this summer. I think 6 players are essential to come in, depending on what Pedro Caixinha thinks he's got coming through the youth ranks, whether that's going to be good enough to add to the squad next year. But certainly investments needed, 100%. I think the poor recruitment probably is the reason why Mark Warburton's not manager anymore at Rangers.
Yeah,
and that is absolutely key.
2 games against Celtic coming up. Would you sacrifice one for the other? Everybody's looking at the semi-final.
Well, I was at the semi-final last year, and I think that was a special moment, probably after the 4 or 5 years that we had before that. Definitely the Scottish Cup would be fantastic. I think it would just be a little silver lining for us after a difficult season. I think 90-minute games, anything can happen. If our players like Hinman, Waghorn, the more bigger players come to the mix, then we've got a chance in that match. But certainly we've got to try and hit some sort of form going into those 2 games. And I think the next 2 games are going to be key as to how the season's going to end for Rangers.
Yeah, Robert Armstrong there, Rangers fan, talking about his hopes for the manager's recruitment policy in the summer. One of the most immediate problems he has, Ruffy, is trying to name a side to take on Kilmarnock because he got 5 or 6 injuries out. And this is what he said this afternoon at the press conference with regards to the team. He's named it.
More than the defence. You just asked me about the defence. I give you everything. Wes?
Well,
Wes? James is back. David, Danny, and Miles. Okay, so you have the back 4. Andy and Jason, Barry, Emerson, and Martin, and Joe Garden. So you have it all.
that's your team.
You want more? It's not enough?
It's quite rare you get the team before a game from either half of the Old Firm. So he's named it. Here it is in formation. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I'm sure Lee McCulloch will be rubbing his hands with a bit of glee, getting a head start on what the side's going to be. Obviously, right away he's identified 2 young boys coming in the back 4. A back 4 that's been vulnerable most of the year. So as far as the young boys are concerned, let's hope they put up a good show. We want to see young boys getting a chance, but I think it's given Lee McCulloch just an idea of obviously what the team is and how they're going to play, so he can set his stall out accordingly.
Yeah, one of the big blows for Rangers, Ruffy, is Lee Wallace is out for 3 to 4 weeks. He's had an operation on his stomach. Now, that puts him in jeopardy for the semi-final. That's a huge blow.
It's a massive blow. Not only the captain, but a leader as well. I think he's had a super season, obviously getting into the Scotland squad as well. He'll be sadly missed. That the runs that he makes into the opposition's box is there for everybody to see. So I think they'll be maybe hoping that that's not as long as what it is.
Yeah, and they're up against the Kilmarnock side with the clear danger man is an old Rangers player, Chris Boyd. He's not going to hang up his boots. He's revealed that he still thinks he's got a few goals in him and maybe another year at Kelly.
Yeah, given the opportunity in the box, he's going to be there or thereabouts. We all know that he's not going to run away from most of the players. So yes, it'll be corners, free kicks, his sharpness in the box, and we've all seen what he can do on the night.
Okay, from Rangers against Kilmarnock coming up after the break, we will hear from Ian Cathro, who's been defending his signing policy at Hearts and looking at that big battle with St Johnstone for the Europa League place. We'll also hear from Patrick Roberts on his future. Kieran Tierney, as Celtic now with the title in the bag, switch their attention to the treble, and there's a huge game at Fir Park between Motherwell and Hamilton with major repercussions at the bottom in the relegation battle. That's all to come. Join us if you can here on STV. Thank us for that photograph, Ruffy.
No, that's a belter. But when you get these hairstyles, you're just tagged with them forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard to believe it, but all those years ago, 17 years ago, Young Player of the Year, Kenny Miller, and then managed to get the move to Rangers off the back of that. Okay, from Rangers to Celtic, of course, the title is in the bag. They've got a match against Partick Thistle. The two things that everybody keeps asking Celtic players, including Kieran Tierney yesterday, was about going undefeated for the rest of the season, and over and above that, all talk of the treble.
Yeah, obviously we've thought about it, and you obviously cannot, but we just need to take one game at a time, don't get too far ahead of ourselves, and just be prepared. Yeah, it's going to be very hard. Every team's out there to beat us. We just, as I said, we need to work hard in training every day, as we've done, and go out and perform like we have to win every game. We've won the league already, but we need to perform like we haven't. We need to just keep going.
Yep. As you go on, especially when you listen to what the manager has to say about resting some players, obviously he's going to rest them after the two games against Rangers, Ruffy.
Yes, and it'll be important what players he rests and how many of them at any one time, because there's certainly a lot of them coming back from injury. There's a lot in the sidelines will want to prove that they could be the players for next year. So, yeah, they've still got such a big pool. You know, you wouldn't see the team getting weakened that much. I just think, I said at the weekend that Hearts would be one of the places they could possibly slip up.
Yeah.
I'm now moving to Pittodrie because at least Aberdeen are on a wee bit of form.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a close encounter up there.
Yeah, so you're just going to move on until eventually you say, I told
think,
you so.
I think Aberdeen, I don't think anybody else is capable on the day.
Not even Rangers?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think obviously evidence of Rangers there at the weekend against Motherwell. Okay, I thought Motherwell should have won, maybe 2-1, maybe 3-1. I thought the goalkeeper had some fantastic saves, but it was the same old problem with Rangers. Balls into the box, nobody defending them. Rangers will put up a show. I mean, Rangers in any big game will turn up, as it's been proved at Ibrox in the last game as well, that for a certain amount of the time they will put up a show, but Celtic just seem to have the big players to win the game.
Yeah, if you were reading the papers this morning, Ruffy, you were maybe getting on your train, heading into work or just having a little break to read the paper, and you looked at the back pages. Brendan Rodgers saying he'd like to bring the Rangers and Celtic fans closer together, maybe not that edge to it. You could probably laugh about it, and then eventually, I think there are a lot of Rangers and Celtic fans who are close to each other, best mates, good pals. It's only a kind of I wouldn't even like to quantify it, but there are elements of both sets of supporters when they come together. It's more than football to them, put it that way. But I think there are lots of Celtic and Rangers fans now integrated in society who, can get involved in the banter.
Yes, I think unfortunately it's the 90 minutes, when it comes around, and even the really good supporters get caught up in it, and I can see why, because we go to the games and you can see how much it means to both sets of supporters. Yeah, some supporters take it too far, but I'd love to know what Brendan's print for how this is going to work, how he's going to go in and get them.
Yeah, the blueprint. You want to see. You want to see the details.
I see the green one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot about that. That was a slip of the tongue. Anyway, just a quick one. He said he has suggested Callum McGregor deserves a look from the Scotland manager. Do you think that boy's gone under the radar?
No, No, I think we should be having B internationals, you know, the friendly games. I think the players like him, the Aberdeen players, everybody's saying, oh, let's see what they can do. These are the games we can see whether they can up their game.
OK, let's switch our attention to Hearts, because this is a big game against St Johnstone in the battle for 4th place, Europa League. Ian Cathro, I think, will be feeling a little bit of the pressure. Arnaud Djoum and Aaron Hughes out of the side for this match, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think as we all know, results proved to everybody as a new manager how well you're doing, and unfortunately for him, came in, had a couple of results early on, but ever since then it's been on free fall. So he knows exactly where these supporters want to be. You know, they were second when he came. They want to be. They won't be second or third, I don't think, but they certainly want to be in Europe. And if they don't get into Europe, then I think you'll see some kind of backlash. I don't think the Hearts supporters will put up with that.
Well, I don't think the manager's lost the importance of gaining that Europa League spot.
The opportunity for this club to be playing in Europe is a very important thing. I think the first step is for us to recover the position in the league, which has probably been, you know, the sort of the minimum normal for this club historically, being in that position, and it was more or less the position that the club was in after the first game when I had arrived. So, you know, important that we maintain that and we address that quickly. You know, where we go, where we set our objectives and our targets and all those things, then it can still be a little bit further down the line. But we, as I say, we speak about this week to resurrect some things. Game 2 of a 3-game week, and we'll be ready for it.
Big game for Hearts. I think they've got to try and take something from this game. I think they've got to win it to send the message out that they can put the Celtic game behind them.
Yes, and obviously the results leading up to the Celtic game as well haven't been impressive. So they're going up to a difficult one. Obviously, they've got their own troubles to sort out after the weekend, which might be to Hearts' advantage. But again, I think it'll be a tight game, and I can't really shout a definite who's going to win that one. Yeah,
if Mark Warburton was getting it in the neck for his signing policy, I'm going to get your thoughts, Ruffy, on Ian Cathro. This is what he had to say to defend, you know, his signing policy when he arrived.
We were short on players. The squad was light. Therefore, we needed to bring players. We then managed each individual situation as a separate thing. There were some circumstances involving players leaving, which again puts another requirement on more players to be here. What we managed to do throughout that window was top ourselves up to give us different options across the squad. You know, that's only becomes a question because of results and the inconsistency inside that. So it's, you know, it's some things are true, some bits are reality, and other bits are just blurred by the fact that, you know, results allow that to become a question.
Well, I spoke to a few Hearts fans at the weekend. They thought maybe the side that was sitting in second position under Robbie Neilson did need strengthening. It's whether his signings have made a telling contribution. The answer at the moment is no.
No, I think it's there for everybody to see. It's no. You know, obviously he brought in a couple of Greek players. You know, a lot of them had international experience. You would expect them to be better than what they're doing just now. And you have to say there's nobody talking about any Hearts players. I mean, we're talking about Jamie Walker, but he's been there for a while, but nobody's raving about any of the players that he's brought in.
OK, Motherwell against Hamilton, Fir Park, big game. Chris Cadden says that Motherwell need to actually go and replicate what they did against Rangers. The best form of defence is attack. Yeah,
I mean, I only saw the highlights of that game. I thought Motherwell impressive. As I've already said, if it hadn't been for the Rangers goalkeeper, they could have won that game quite comfortably. Hamilton, you look at Hamilton, you know, nothing each against 9 men for a large part of that second half. That obvious problems are not scoring goals. So Motherwell will go into that game with home advantage on the encouragement of what they played at the weekend, and they would expect to win that.
Yeah, hard to believe it, but Hamilton's still looking for back-to-back wins. This could be the first time.
Yeah, but they'll build on that. Okay, it was a late goal, but if you see the last 45 minutes, it was all about the saves the St Johnstone goalkeeper were making. So that'll be the encouraging side, that they were making chances and fortunately enough got the got the one at the end, but I think Motherwell might be just too strong for them.
OK, tonight it's Aberdeen against Inverness Cally Thistle and Ross County against Dundee. No surprise, manager Paul Hartley is hoping his Dens Park side can put that 7-0 thrashing behind them.
My job is to try and pick the players up. We came in yesterday and we're really positive with them. You know, we've got a quick turnaround in game tomorrow night, so you know we can't be too down. The game's gone. It was a disappointing performance. We know that. We let ourselves down. They trained well yesterday. The spirits were good. As I said, I've got to come in here and pick them up. That is my job as a manager, man management. So the players have been fine. They know we need a big performance tomorrow night. It's two teams that both need the points. We know we're in a fight down at the bottom. So you know we've got to make sure we go to Dingwall in a positive mindset.
Yeah, didn't recognise him without his wee blue hat on, to be honest with you, Ruffy. Can they get the win tonight?
I don't think they can get a win, but I think if they could scrape something out of that. I don't think Ross County are playing particularly well either, so I would probably go for a draw there.
And briefly, Aberdeen or Inverness?
I would go for Aberdeen. OK, there you have it. That's the show. Crammed full of interviews and opinion. Thanks for joining us tonight. From Ruffy and myself, good night.